Welcome to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor, and I thought I would give you a mini tour of my house, just where I'm sitting right now, so you can see the insanity that I'm living in right now. We've been packing, and I have gotten to the point now where I have zero energy left. My head feels like there's been concrete poured into it. It's the same feeling I had when I first was in the hospital. It felt like after my stroke, I used to tell people it felt like somebody had poured concrete in my head, and that's what it feels like. Nothing's changed. Anyway, this is over here to my left. We've got boxes piled up over here. Okay, just for fun, I will show you Autumn. There she is. And then if we spin around, I'm going to do it fairly slowly so as to not make any of us dizzy. Over to my right, we have more boxes. And just for fun, let's take a look at Boris. There he is. There's my bulbs. He is uninspired. He is uninspired. Anyway, this is what my life looks like right now. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And I'm starting to be able to see how much I am unable to function the way that I did prior to my stroke, to do things like this. So it's all, everything post-stroke, everything is a learning experience. And thank goodness I can't see the whole road in front of me, right? Like, thank God I can't see how things are going to out in my life, because if I could see that, I would skip through all of the lessons. And what I'm learning right now from all of this packing is that the stroke did impact my ability to my stamina, my ability to do things all day long. You'd think I already know that. I don't, because I'm a glutton for punishment and I don't learn things very easily. I've always learned things the hard way. Ask my mom. I learned things the hard way. So I'm grateful though. I'm grateful that I can't see the whole road in front of me. That I can only that my job is to look at where I am right now, and live one day at a time. And that was what came up in my meeting this morning too. My meeting, what came to mind was like how difficult it was for me when I first got sober to understand this concept of living one day at a time. It doesn't seem like it's that hard of a concept. It seems like you would just be like, yeah, I mean, stop thinking about the future. Just think about, what can I do today? What can I do to enrich my life today, to learn today, to support my well-being today? But when I was first getting sober, it was not a simple concept for me, because that concept was, and my lack of understanding it was the I guess impetus behind me going back out and drinking again, because I thought to myself, I can't do this for the rest of my life, so I might as well start drinking now. And I went back out and started drinking for another 8 months. Um, it wasn't until, I had to reach a new low, and when I did, I started to understand that for me, what works for me isn't one day at a time. What works for me is 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time, one breath at a time. And when I was in early sobriety, this sobriety that has continued, I started running with a friend of mine, and I had a goal of running a 5K. I always wanted to be able to run, like actually run the whole 5K. And so I started by running for a minute, walking for a minute. I've talked about this before for those of you who are longtime listeners. I ran for a minute, walked for a minute, ran for a minute, walked for a minute. And I did that for probably 2 miles. And then I just couldn't go any further. But I kept practicing that until I could do just that for a 5K. Then I started uh, running 2 minutes, walking a minute, running 2 minutes, walking a minute. And I did that. And so every week I would increase the running portion by 1 minute. So the following week I would run 3 minutes, walk a minute, run 3 minutes, walk a minute. And I consistently did that. It makes me smile because I cannot believe that I did that. So if you use a calculator, use your brain, however long that would take you to get up to running an entire 5K without walking, that's how long it took me to train. And it was magical. I'm telling you, it was magical. But I was focused. I used my sobriety as an example for me. How do I do this? How do I eat the whole elephant? How do I do something long term when I can't even do it short term? And I started just focusing on one step at a time when I was running, literally one step at a time. And I was running, and I remember thinking, like wanting to stop, right? Just feeling like I can't go on. I'm so tired. I can't go on. I can't breathe. And I would think, I'm okay right now. I'm okay right now. With every step, I'm okay right now. I'm okay right now. And getting to that point where it got me running to the length of time, the minutes that I was at before I could walk again. I just kept telling myself, you're okay. Like, you're not going to pass out right now. You're not going to pass out right now. You're not going to pass out right now. That's what I was doing. I guess the only way I wouldn't have been okay is if I passed out and I wouldn't have been able to say, you're not going to pass out right now. I would have just passed out. Anyway, it worked. It worked for me. And it was a perfect example of how to work the program, how to be in front of something and be like, I'm okay right now. Like going to a holiday party for the first time, not drinking. I'm all dressed up. I'm walking in the door and I'm nervous about it, but I'm thinking, you're okay right now. You're okay right now. And with each step, as I walked into this first holiday party sober, I just kept telling myself, you're okay right now. You're okay right now. And I got through the whole evening, and I ended up leaving when I felt comfortable, when everybody else started getting a little more, when the fun was gone, when I wasn't having any more fun, or people were getting too crazy for me or something like that because they were drinking. I could just leave. It's pretty amazing to be able to walk out of a place and know that you haven't been drinking and you don't have to face drinking and driving. You're just leaving and you're gonna drive home safely. It's amazing. I never got to experience that, unfortunately, until I got sober. So, um, it's it's helpful to me to not be able to see how things are going to go. I'm grateful that I am not able to see how things work out because, like I said, I would miss the lessons in it. Um, Not knowing the outcomes in front of me forces the growth that needs to happen. Like that uncertainty becomes the classroom. And it becomes an opportunity to figure out, it becomes an opportunity to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, learning how to live with discomfort, learning how to show up and not knowing what's going to happen. When I was drinking, I had every excuse to not show up. I knew how the day was going to end. I was going to end up passed out in my bed. And I had every excuse to not show up to things. Um, the steps of the program when I show up sober are the tools that turn that discomfort and that fear into action. So when I was drinking, like that low point in my life was important. Everything that has happened up to this point is important. And it's like that's the we will not shut the door. We will not forget the past nor wish to shut the door on it. Um, I needed that. I needed to see that what it was like to feel that I could not function without alcohol in my life. Like alcohol made the discomfort um, tolerable because I couldn't do anything. In the end, I couldn't do anything without alcohol in my body. I couldn't go to the grocery store. I couldn't go to the bus stop. I couldn't do anything. Hi, Boris. Boris is visiting. Just when he breathes, there's funk that comes out of his nose. Sorry, but that's true. Um, my thinking back then when I was drinking was so chaotic. It was I remember when I first got sober, they used to compare it to insanity. They still do, but when I first heard that, I was like, I am not insane. Like, I was offended that I was being compared to insane. Boris, stop licking. Stop licking me. But it was insane. I mean, I can see that now that I'm not insane to an extent. I can see like that denial and the shame and the trying to control the outcome of things, how insane it was. I talked yesterday about white knuckling life. That's it. I was white knuckling. It's insane to go through life thinking that I'm actually controlling everyone and everything around me. I wasn't, but I thought I was. That's insane. And it wasn't until I got into the rooms and got honest and started sharing about what I was thinking that it like cracked open that cycle. It stopped it. Like it stopped the spinning, the hamster the hamster wheel in my head. Um, I finally was able to stop and be like, wait, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, isn't that a concept? Maybe I'm wrong. I was never wrong when I was drinking. And when I got sober, I learned how wrong I was. And it was okay. It's okay to be wrong. I'm not stupid. I'm just wrong. Um, there's a better way. And if I work with other people, if I stay open to listening to the other people sharing their honesty, sharing their truth, I get to hear how things might change for me. Um, so getting into this mindset of living one day at a time, it just was it became too long of a time period for me, as weird as that is. I really needed to focus on right this minute. And that was what made sobriety concrete and achievable for me. Um, I needed to focus on the next right thing. That was a really helpful phrase that came up in early sobriety. Focus on the very next thought in my head, or the very next action I take. That was a practical way for me to live my life. Um, right now, I will take a deep breath. Like right now, I'm stressed out and I don't know why I'm going to take a deep breath. I couldn't be like, I'm stressed out. My entire day is ruined. What do I need to do today? What can I do today in order to make my day better? I couldn't do that. It wasn't that I wasn't thinking, oh, I need to go to a meeting today or something like that. Of course, I was thinking in that way where I knew what I was going to do that day. But I needed to manage my emotions 1 minute at a time, because that's how sporadic it was. That was the insanity between my ears. So whether it was that I needed to take a deep breath, whether it was I needed to call my sponsor, whether it was I need to put my shoes on because I'm not going to get to that meeting if I don't put my shoes on. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my shoes on. And that was life for me in the beginning. And sometimes that's what life is for me now. When I feel in stroke recovery, when I feel really bad, I go back to that. I resort back to that. Like, what can I do this very second? The dog has to go out. So I need to put my shoes on. Um, and it gets me through. It gets me to show up when it's really, really hard, when it's physically hard to show up. Um, as I moved through sobriety, back to the steps, it going through all of the steps, it really organized a lot of my fears. It organized my discomfort so that I started to um, start giving names to my discomfort. I started to understand why I was feeling certain ways. It's for me, it went beyond what any psychiatrist or talk therapy could have ever done for me. Because these steps, like you're putting pen to paper and you're really identifying, like, what are the things that I think and what are they associated with? What is my role? I've been spending my whole life pointing fingers and assigning blame. What is my role in all of this? Taking my own inventory. What are my own character defects? And admitting to them. And then eventually making amends and learning how to pray and learning how to be of service. Learning how to pray for somebody else that maybe I dislike for some reason or rubs me the wrong way. But these steps allowed me to name those fears, and they gave me small repeatable actions in order to like move through those fears so that I was actually not turning away from my fears, but I was like walking through them. So over time, the repetitiveness and the small actions and the new habits start to rewire my responses to those fears. And they become habits in faith and service and self care. Um, it's really extraordinary. It's extraordinary how the program works, but it takes consistency to keep showing up, even, you know, when you don't feel like it, and just looking and saying, I'm okay right now. I can do this right now. I can put my shoes on right now. I can pick up the phone right now. Even if my sponsor does, it's not my job to think about if my sponsor is going to be inconvenienced by my phone call. What can I do right now? And that is, I happen to have my phone right next to me. Pick up the phone. That's it. I'm not saying to dial or anything. I'm saying pick up the phone. And then the next thing I can do is dial. And that's how I had to break things down in order to start tolerating discomfort, because the idea of calling my sponsor is uncomfortable. Um, it's still to this day, picking up the phone is uncomfortable to me. And I have to reframe the discomfort as fuel for growth rather than not doing it and letting it be another sign of failure. This is why you suck, Rachel, because you never pick up the phone when you know you're supposed to. Like, let this discomfort be a signal to me that, okay, you don't feel comfortable. What do you need to do? And so now my discomfort has become a signal for action. It really has. And a lot of times there's nothing I can maybe do right in the moment to change a situation, because that's that control again, that I'm trying to control people, places, and things. But what I can do is I can exercise, I can go for a walk, I can take a deep breath, I can um, meditate, I can pray, I can pick up the phone and call somebody. I can call my mom, I can call my sponsor, I can call a friend. Like, I can do these micro actions that help me get through the discomfort. I can get out my remarkable writing tablet and write down what's in my brain so that it's not trapped between my ears anymore. That's a big deal for me. That's why I do my podcast, because I don't want this stuff trapped between my ears. And with small exposure to these types of like tools, these types of actions that are attached to discomfort, that is practice. And that is intentionally changing my behavior with each little bit of discomfort. And that's recovery. That's recovery in action. Um, So the insanity that I once was introduced to, I understand now today that I kept thinking of everything that was wrong with the world outside of me and what everybody else needs to do. And meanwhile, I was promising what I was going to do tomorrow, right? I was lying to myself all the time. And I mentioned the God box yesterday. That was another way for me. I really liked the God box because it was a way for me to get honest and nobody had to know about it. I didn't have to, like, if I was pissed off at somebody, I didn't have to call somebody and admit it. Which is preferable, of course. You know, you call your sponsor and you're like, I'm really struggling right now. I'm pissed off at somebody. And you just say it. They don't have to have a solution, but you're just saying it out loud. Well, the God box became an excuse for me to be able to hand it over because I recognized over time that the if something's wrong with me. And I started to be able to apply the principles of the program in a way that I didn't even have to pick up the phone anymore. I could write it down in my God box. I could identify that what is wrong with me with this other person is not this other person's problem. It's my problem. And I need to learn how to let it go because it's not my job to control their behavior. I can't control their behavior as much as I want to. I can't control them. And so I would write down on a piece of paper, let go, let God, and I would write the person's name down, and then I would put the piece of paper in the God box and shut the lid. And again, that sound of the lid shutting was like a signal of release. It showed me you've done it, you've gotten it out of you, and it's somewhere else now. Like it portrayed a physical portrayal of like that letting go. And it worked for me. It worked for me. And there are times that, though, the only thing I can do is pick up the phone and call my sponsor. There was something that was bothering me at some point this year. I don't remember when, but it bothered me for a week. And I kept telling myself, I need to call my sponsor. I need to call my sponsor. I'm going to feel better. And I kept not calling her because depression feeds on itself. And I wanted, in some sick way, I wanted to just sit in it. I wanted to sit in it. I was like, I don't want to feel better. You know? I mean, that's what happens when I feel shitty. I remain in the state of shittiness and I avoid anything that might possibly help me. And that means I'm not going to talk to anybody. I isolate. I am not going to, I don't know, I'm not going to listen to my book. I'm not going to um, call my sponsor. I'm not going to call my mom. I'm not going to talk to anybody who's going to help me because I just want to bask in the glory of my shittiness. And it's terrible, but it's true. I mean, gosh, I live that. I still live it today. I do it all the time. The only thing that I try desperately not to sit in is anxiety because anxiety will affect my health. It will affect like my eating and stuff, and that can get very scary for me. So if I'm feeling anxious, I will most likely call somebody and do something about it. But it's usually going to be, if I'm anxious, I will dive right into whatever it is. If I'm anxious because I think somebody's mad at me, I will continue to call that person until I can work that out with them because life is short and there's no reason for me to feel that way. I spent so long in my life feeling anxious, and it just about killed me. A lot of the drinking that I did was to subside that. So anxiety is something that I can't live in or bask in. But anger, I can sit in that, and I will, and I shouldn't. And depression is something that I can sit in and I shouldn't, but I do. So it's the steps give me the tools to to tackle these things, whether I still have that insanity though, that tells me, um, "Oh, you don't want to feel better. You don't want to feel better." But I know now that that is my disease talking. And I'm starting to be able to see it. That's not me. That's not my inner voice. That's my disease talking to me. So I know that one of the greatest things that I love to say is that courage is not the absence of fear, but it's doing it anyway. It's doing standing up against whatever it is that you're afraid of anyway. That's what courage is. Um, so I hate when I get to the end and I'm like, I don't have a beautiful way to wrap it up, but yeah. I don't have any way to wrap it up. I need to work on that. If we're going to be professionals here, I need to work on that. I'm just done. So there you have it. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.